We're in a tough fight for promotion, and man, we got hit with a bombshell. One of our key players wants a better contract. Well, let me back up a little bit first. The board demands that we get promoted this year, and it's really been screwing up my plans. It's not that I plan to lose, it's that I feel worried about making my players upset. After all, as the board said, we really have to win now. Well, the plan is to try to slowly rebuild the squad and to focus on young, fast, and cheap players. That means we want to get rid of the old guys. But of course that's not easy. Our squad is pretty old at the moment, and the players don't exactly support me. Now, part of that is because I started the save with low attributes and no reputation, and I think part of it is just simply resistance to change. Now, I understand that part, and I do think that it's realistic, but it's a problem. It's a problem because of how severe the morale system is in Football Manager. Poor morale can be devastating in Football Manager. Players who normally perform well will suddenly play horribly if you mismanage the team morale, and that's where our dilemma starts. Naoki Kawaguchi came up to me and asked for a new contract. I tried to convince him to wait until the end of the season, but he refused. And so I reluctantly agreed to negotiate with him. Okay, let me make something clear. Kawaguchi is a good player. This isn't an awful player. I agree with him, he does deserve a new contract. Our performance analysts assure me that Kawaguchi is the best defender in the league, and I've really got to agree with them. He's been an awesome right wingback for us. But the problem is that he's 29 years old. He's not getting any better, and he's allergic to big matches, which is a red flag. Okay, he's old, he's not fully consistent, he's not going to get any better, and once we're promoted to the next level, he's really not going to be good enough to play at that level. He's the sort of player we're actually trying to get rid of. But the problem is that we need to be promoted. Kawaguchi just so happens to be a highly influential player on our squad. And that means that this contract situation can influence every single player on the squad, and that's the headache. Okay, let's look at the facts. We have no money. We are already over our wage budget limit. Our future prospects look good, actually, but I need to worry about my job in the short term first. Kawaguchi wanted about 1.6 million yen per week more than we're paying him now. I talked his agent down, and then we started negotiations. Now, I assumed that successfully negotiating this with the agent meant that I could talk down the salary amount. I mean, that's what you would think too, right? Wrong. First off, Kawaguchi insisted on being treated as an important player. He then insisted on 3.8 million yen per week, about double what he's making now. And I couldn't get him to budge. Okay, this is an aspect of Football Manager that totally drives me nuts. I mean, how in the world can you let me negotiate a contract with the agent beforehand and then give me absolutely no room to negotiate when we actually go to contract talks? What is the point of talking with the agent beforehand? I canceled the whole thing out of disgust. His agent came back to me and complained. I responded with the only answer that made any sense, and of course it made him mad. And then he brought out the big guns. Kawaguchi's got 10 players on the club who agree that he needs a better deal, and they just so happen to be our 10 most influential players. And so reluctantly I went back to negotiations with him. Now, the truth here is that I've been coerced into negotiating against my will. At this point, I'd rather sell him, but I would then risk making the entire squad mad at me if this happens. Actually, there are other players I'd rather sell first. Morita Tatsuya, for example, is a 31-year-old goalkeeper that we'll never use. I can't get anybody to buy him because his salary is so high. Mitsumaru Hiromu is 30 years old and he isn't getting any younger. He's making almost 6 million yen per week. I actually did have an offer to sell Mitsumaru before the season started. Tigris offered to take him on loan with a mandatory future fee. I tried to negotiate and then the talks broke down. Really, in retrospect, I probably should have gone for that deal. But then again, the board's desire to win this season is the thing that kept me from pulling the trigger, especially since at that time we didn't have any other left backs on the squad. And so I let the deal fall through, and I told myself that I'd sell Mitsumaru as soon as we secured promotion. I tried to sell Kogatayo when he was upset with me. He's apparently since had a change of heart, though I'd still like to get rid of him. And then there are players like Katayama Eki and Mutoyuki, neither of which belong on this team in the first place. So that's the thing about going over the wage budget. I'm not as worried about it as I probably should be, and this is because we have a lot of deadweight salaries on the club right now. If we could just sell one or two of those guys, we'd be fine. In the end, I wound up giving Kawaguchi what he wanted. I also had to make a promise to the upset players that I'd give him what he wanted. I just hope this means we'll keep winning. Right now, that's all I really care about. Anyway, I know that the future is with young players, but we need to hold on to this position long enough to actually get to that future. And so with Kawaguchi, the plan is to try to get a good season out of him, or maybe two, and then sell him maybe around age 31. We'll see if that works.